All right, welcome. So this is how to develop a morning routine. This video is just going to cover how you can develop your own morning routine and a couple of points on why you should even develop a morning routine in the first place. So without further ado, let's get into the video. When I was just out of high school, I wanted to start a business was my main goal in life. Everyone was asking me what I was going to do with my time, what I wanted to do. And me personally, I honestly just wanted to do what I was already doing. I wanted to just keep going with what I was currently doing, which was self-improvement. I was working on my sports and I was developing as an athlete. But I got this idea in my head that I needed to somehow start making money just because I got out of high school. And to a degree, this is important. To a degree, this is true, yes. But I thought it was the only thing I could focus on. Otherwise, I was a bum, basically. If you get out of high school and you don't immediately start making money or going to college, then you're a bum, was kind of where my mindset was at. I didn't believe this was genuinely true, but based off of the reactions of everybody else when I wasn't going to college and I wasn't running and sprinting towards my first job, or sorry, not my first job, but my first job post graduation. I'd had many jobs, but I quit those jobs so I could focus on what I'm doing now. And everybody was very confused, and which is fine. A lot of the older generations don't understand what we have access to now, what we can do now. The ability to make money online, and also just the idea of self-improvement in general, and focusing on your own self-development versus focusing on money. So my focus was on self-development, but I felt like I needed to focus more on money. So I essentially threw out self-improvement, I threw out training and exercise, I threw out everything, and I just focused on my business. One of the biggest mistakes of my entire life. And what I did was I went through this period of time where I was focused on just business, just making content, making videos, creating programs, creating products to sell. And I found that I didn't like what I was creating because I wanted the outcome. I wanted the result. I wanted the money, not the creation itself, not developing my business, which was the place that I wanted to create my business from in the first place. That's why I waited. I waited to create this specific business until I was ready for it, which I did start at the right time. But my mindset shift about needing money made me think that self-improvement was a waste of time, right? Self-development was a waste of time. All I needed to focus on was money and business. And I actually became very depressed in this period of time. I was working as much as I could, and I was focusing on developing my business, focusing on building programs, focusing on making content, which was the only thing I don't regret, however. I do not regret putting time, effort, and energy into making my content, building my business. However, I do regret throwing away self-improvement to do so. Now, fast forward to about September of this same year, so last year, September, I realized that I was slowly but surely tapering off and falling off on my consistency and on my productivity. And I found that I was able to wake up and I was able to show up and I was able to record and work, but then as soon as I was done working, I would basically just crash completely. I would not be able to do anything else for the rest of the day, most of the time just slipping into bad habits. And I realized I needed to fix that, obviously. So I started going to the gym again, started working out again, and from there, I started to think about creating a new morning routine, right? I wanted to start waking up early again, and I missed having a morning routine. Back when I was in school, I'd wake up, I'd do my morning routine. That would be my me time before school started. And it was just a great cycle. It was a great lifestyle. I enjoyed the flow that I was able to get when I woke up early and I was ahead of the day and I had a morning routine. I was still waking up pretty early during this period of time, but I was literally waking up and going straight to the office and straight to recording. Now, I was still being productive. I was still able to get a lot done. I was still able to produce a lot, but it didn't feel good. I didn't feel like I was progressing much. I didn't feel like I had a lot of the information to teach because all I was doing was recording videos. So there wasn't much substance to the lessons, right? Because I had stopped applying them in real life because I was only doing YouTube now. And it got to the point in September where I was in a good state, right? I was consistently showing up here and working. I started going to the gym again, and I started working. I got a new, it's like a private contracting job. So it's not a 9 to 5, it's an order-based job. So I get paid based on how many orders I complete, which worked with my schedule for business. And I'm still doing that now because it's very infrequent. It's like 1 day or 2 days every couple of weeks, and I'm able to go to the gym when I do it. So it's just a very small thing to make some money on the side while I'm doing the business, and started doing that. And I got to a point where I realized I couldn't be very consistent in a lot of the other things I was doing, because I had created this routine of just wake up and go to the apartment and work. But I hadn't created a real structure to anything else in my life, right? There's no structure to any other part of my day. So that's where the morning routine came in. This is where I started the morning routine, because I realized I needed to get back to a state of structure. So even though it was way easier for me to just show up here and work, I knew that to do a morning routine beforehand would allow me to be in a better flow state, would allow me to carry that flow state throughout the rest of my day. And in and of itself, because of the way I created this morning routine, it would help me to develop more as an individual. So I created my morning routine. And basically overnight, my productivity transformed completely, right? I went from where I was just working on business, to I was able to work on my business. I was able to double the amount of work I was doing on my business. So I was able to get more like 5, 6, 7 videos in each day versus just a few, right? 3 or 4 typically. So I doubled the amount of videos I could produce in not the same amount of time, obviously, but in the same block. So it was just a longer block, but I was able to stay in that block for longer because of this morning routine. And then I was able to go to the gym and I was able to consistently go to the gym and work out. And I started even finding myself with the extra time during the day wanting more productive things to do. So I started reading more. I started journaling again and just writing out my thoughts. And I filled up this journal with all these great ideas and all these great thoughts. And it was a very beautiful and productive period of time. But the most important thing is I developed more in this period of time than I did in any other stage of my life. Right? And that's because I not only created this morning routine, but I stuck to it. I hit it every single day for about 4 months straight, and then I missed a couple days on and off, and I'm back to it. I hit this morning routine every single day, right? Because of that, I'm able to develop so much more because of this routine, because of the structure, because of the consistency of it. Every single time I finish my morning routine, I finish ready to enter a flow state, ready to go into some type of deep work. And this has become a major advantage with my productivity. When I'm in a period where I'm not focused on content, I'm able to lock in with my sports and what I'm doing there. When it's a content-focused period, I'm able to early in the morning wake up, lock in, get focused, and then show up and start creating that content. And, I think this is beautiful. I love this, right? I love this state of always feeling like I'm able to enter a flow state and always feeling productive, wanting to be productive. That's a beautiful state to be in, wanting to be productive while actively being productive. So, before I teach you guys how to develop your own morning routines, if you guys are interested in self-improvement and you want to learn more about it, you guys can go to my Instagram and send me a DM if you want early access to the Academy of Intelligence program, which I will be giving in detail, in-depth courses on all of the different stages and all of the different sections of self-improvement, all the different tools that I use, and all of the different main topics as well. So if that's something you guys are interested in, it is essentially a universal education platform for people on self-improvement. If that's something you're interested in, just go and send me a DM on Instagram, which is the first link in the description of this video. So why start a morning routine? The reason why you should start a morning routine is because A, it is a consistent process that you can do to get from being in bed to being fully awake and fully ready for the day. It is a very easy way to avoid the problem of sleeping in, because most people sleep in because there's either confusion for what they're going to do for the day or there's resistance to it. The morning routine gets in the way. It is a block of time between when you have to start your day and when you actually wake up. And this block of time is meant to be not full of resistance. It's not meant to be super, super difficult, right? But full of just enough resistance that it gets you through the process of doing these things, actively completing tasks, actively doing things that may be challenging, but challenging to the level that you are at with just waking up, right? So for me, when I first wake up, something that is considerably challenging is actually making my bed, because I don't want to get out of it. And I definitely don't want to make it, because that means I can't get back into it. But that small bit of resistance is way less resistance than if I woke up and immediately tried to start recording. So that will ease me into the flow of the day. That will start me completing tasks, start me getting into a flow state that I can then apply to my work bout when it's time to work. The other reason why you used to start a morning routine is because it helps you to get into flow state for the day, it helps you get focused and locked in. And the third reason you should do a morning routine is because this is time for you to get grounded, for you to get centered, for you to get focused before the day starts, before you have to go out and work with people, deal with people, or if you have a sport that you're training for, right? Before you have to start thinking about all of the stress within that, right? All of the work that it's going to take to get to where you want to go. Before you start thinking about any of this stuff, you have a block of time that is dedicated to you just getting centered, just getting ready and prepared for the day. This also sets you ahead for the day, right? What does this mean? This will set you ahead of the day. So you aren't waking up late anymore, or you may be waking up early as is. So even if you are waking up early, you're waking up early and immediately getting to doing things, or you're doing, maybe you're scrolling on your phone, which gets you slightly behind mentally, or you're starting to lock in immediately as soon as you wake up, which does start to get you ahead of the day, but only to a certain degree, right? Mentally, you are stuck behind. So with the morning routine, it allows you to mentally get ahead of the day, right? Physically prepare yourself for it, but mentally get ahead of the day. And that sets an advantage because now as you flow through the day, you don't feel like you're stressing. You don't feel like there's so much to do that you'll never finish it. You feel that there is a consistent flow and that you are able to complete all of the tasks you need to complete, right? You're able to, with purpose, with intention, just move through all the things you have to do throughout the day. And this is why I like my morning routine, because it is specifically designed to do this for me. The morning routine is specifically designed to get me into a flow state first thing in the morning, and the effectiveness of it keeps me in a flow state throughout the rest of the day, right? So if you're doing a morning routine that doesn't do both of those two things, you need to switch it up. But if you're doing the correct type of morning routine, you will feel that it sets you ahead of the day instead of you constantly being behind. So getting into a flow state for your work, this is probably the most important benefit of doing a morning routine and having a morning routine, is because when you get to the point where you start work, you're already in a flow state. You're already ready to focus. You're already ready to actually lock in and get the work done, right? A lot of people may not understand the extremity of this, right? Because some people, when they get to work, they naturally get into a flow state. And that's fine. That's great. But even then, that still takes time. That takes effort before the point that you're able to get into flow state. Whereas when you start with a morning routine, that initiation of effort itself will put you into a flow state, because this morning routine was designed to get you primed for flow, right? So that primer for flow allows for, when you actually get to your work, the effort itself is what initiates flow state. Right? So you don't need to put in a certain amount of effort before you're able to focus enough to enter flow state, which is how most people enter flow state. With this morning routine, it puts you in a flow. And so then when you get to work and you get to the point where you're putting in the effort, you naturally enter this flow state. And so the reason why a lot of people don't have morning routines, and the reason why a lot of people don't, wake up early or work early or try to have a morning routine is because it's just difficult to wake up. It's difficult to set an early wake up time. It's difficult to be consistent with that. There's two things I'll say about that. The first thing I will say is don't worry about the wake up time so much, right? Set your wake up time, of course. But if you don't wake up, if my wake up time is 6 and I wake up at 8, I'm not just going to throw the morning routine out the door, right? I'm going to start it at 8. Because obviously if you're waking up 2 hours later than your wake up time, you probably have enough freedom in your day to do the morning routine anyways. And if that's not the case, you shouldn't be waking up that late. End of story, right? But if you happen to sleep in a little bit, you shouldn't throw the morning routine out the window. You should still do it. You should still stick to it 100%. So even if you can't wake up early, you can still do the morning routine and work on your wake up time. The other thing is, a lot of people can't wake up early just because of the fact that their circadian rhythm is out of whack, right? And this can happen for many different reasons. One of the main reasons, though, is that people aren't getting enough sunlight in their day, right? A lot of people don't wake up and go outside. A lot of people don't spend any time outside at all, right? I don't have sunlight in my morning routine, I'm not going to lie, because around here we have constant changing seasons. So if I was to do that, it would only really apply in the spring, summer, and fall. However, I spend at least 2 to 3 hours outside every single day. I skateboard a lot, I train outside, I like to go for runs or just walks, and overall I spend as much time outside as I can. So I get outside, right, as much as I can. It's not part of my morning routine, no, but I still get outside as much as I possibly can. A lot of people don't, though. A lot of people do not spend time outside. And do not bullshit me and say, oh, I go to my car. We both know damn well that that does not count as spending time outside. Really spending time outside would mean at least 10 minutes in the sun, right? And this will help not only your mental health, but your circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is your wake to sleep cycles, right? So when you feel energized and awake versus when you feel sleepy and tired. That's what the circadian rhythm is. It regulates when you have energy and when you don't have energy. So if you're spending your day with low energy, it's likely your circadian rhythm is out of whack. Versus me, it's 8 a.m. and I'm pumping, I'm buzzing. I feel amazing, I feel energized, I'm ready to go. Because my circadian rhythm is regulated to this, right? This is the time of day where I have the most energy because this is the time of day when I do the most. And I have programmed this into my body through repetitions, through routine, but also just by being outside enough so that my circadian rhythm is regulated to a normal cycle. A normal cycle is the daytime you feel energized and at the nighttime you feel tired. That's it, right? That's the natural cycle. There's a very, very, very small percentage of the population that actually sleeps nocturnal, that actually needs to be awake at night and sleeping during the day. Extremely small, though. It is almost impossible that you are one of those people. And if you claim to be one of those people, it's more likely than not that you're just unwilling to change certain habits that you have and that your circadian rhythm is out of whack. And so now you think that you have a regulated sleep-wake cycle because you have energy at night, so you must need to be awake at night. However, this is only due to the fact that you don't go outside. I'm basically just telling you to touch grass. Because if you go and spend more time outside, and you do some other things like diet changes to help regulate your circadian rhythm and get a clean and consistent sleep cycle, over time you will find that the opposite is true, right? You will have energy during the day and you will feel tired at night. It's just that your habits are so unhealthy and so out of whack that you genuinely feel like you should be awake at night, right? So more likely than not, your circadian rhythm is out of whack. That's why you can't get up early. It's not because you need more sleep. It's not because you need to be up so late and sleep in so late. It is just because you aren't disciplined enough to apply the right information and the right tools in order to change your cycle, change your habits, change your routine. So if you're watching this video, that means you want to change your routine. You want to change these things. So what can you do? Sunlight, like I said. The next thing is force yourself to wake up early before it's easy, right? So make sure for about 5 days, you're telling yourself, I'm not going to feel like waking up. I'm just going to do it. And you do it for those 3 to 5 days. in those 3 to 5 days, you will re-regulate or you will recalibrate your circadian rhythm, because what's happening is you're forcing yourself to wake up earlier at a certain time, and so your body will be like, okay, now if we need energy, if we want to be able to, be ready by this time of day, we need to go to sleep earlier. And your body will regulate itself so that you're able to go to sleep earlier that next night, right? And then so what you do is you wake up at 6 or 5 or whatever the time is, and then at 8, 9 o'clock, you notice you're getting tired, whereas normally you might not go to bed until midnight or whatever the time. You go with it, right? You stick with it. Then you go to sleep a little bit earlier, wake up at the same time, and your body will start to regulate and calibrate to this new routine. So the next thing is how to actually develop a morning routine, right? So we've helped you fix why you're not waking up early or why you can't wake up early. Now it's time to set your wake up time. Create the wake up time you want to do. So 6 o'clock is the one I'm doing right now. I'm working on moving back to 5 a.m. I think 5 a.m. is my optimal time. That's where I like to be. So find yours. What is your optimal time, and where are you realistically at right now, right? Look at both of those things. And then from there, it's very simple. So you have your wake up time. Now you just have to create a set of habits that you can complete first thing in the morning when you wake up. So my morning routine looks like this. This isn't the one I'd recommend. This is my morning routine. I wake up and I do 25 push-ups for blood flow, and I focus on my breathing through these push-ups, because one thing is you want to get oxygen in early in the morning. So when you first wake up, the first thing you really might want to do is take a deep breath, right? Get some oxygen in. So I do some push-ups, and I do a little bit of, I don't really know what to call it. It's a simple exercise to essentially release endorphins in the body and the brain, and it's good for breathing and getting full breath in first thing in the morning. So I basically just get into my body, feel into my body, make my bed, brush my teeth, basic shit. I take a progress picture in my weight. So just like a picture of me shirtless so that I can see where I'm at, where my body's at. And I weigh myself every single morning. So I weigh myself, get a progress picture, and then I get lemon water with salt. So it's just a regular sized glass of water. Half of a lemon squeezed. I don't really worry too much about it. I squeeze the seeds right in there and they stick to the bottom. And you can drink it like that, or you can filter out the seeds if you want to do that. An easy way I just thought of to make it more streamlined if you want is pre-squeeze lemons and have like a little mason jar or a little cup in the fridge, and you can just pour a little bit in your water if you need to be quick with it. But really, let's just cut a lemon in half, squeeze it in there, pinch of salt. That's all you need. Covered. You drink that, you're gonna feel amazing. You're gonna feel energized. You're gonna feel your brain. It's gonna be hydrated. It's gonna feel good. You're gonna lose that brain fog that you've been worried about carrying when you woke up. So you don't have the brain fog anymore. So now you have no excuses for waking up early. And from there, I meditate. And then after my meditation, I journal, and then I do a cold shower, and then I go to work, whatever that is. So today, I showed up here, and I'm recording a video. So for you guys, the most important things are going to be oxygen, breathing. So get like quick breath work in. Breath work, I just mean like 5 minutes where you're just deep breathing consistently. As much as you can, as deep as you can. Hold for like 3 seconds maybe, and then let it go, right? Very, very simple, but very important, very crucial. And then the next thing is sunlight and hydration. So sunlight, hydration, and oxygen. These 3 things are going to be the most important. So I would literally just wake up and do some breathing, grab a glass of water, and go sit outside and drink it. And you could even meditate out here if you want to. And that's the next thing. I always say meditation or some type of mindfulness practice is important. Because it's essentially allowing you to get centered and grounded for the day, right? So you're trying to get centered, grounded, and focused so that you're able to easily get into a flow state when the time comes, right? So you can meditate out here, you can journal out here, whatever you may, see fit. And then the next thing that I would do is either a cold shower, a simple habit like a cold shower, a quick walk, or some type of either movement or activity that you know helps you get locked in or get into a flow state. And then from here, it's just get ready for the day, get yourself dressed if you need to. If you need to, if you drink coffee, whatever, you can go get your fucking coffee, you loser. No, I'm playing. But, drink your coffee. If you couldn't tell, I don't drink coffee at all. I don't think coffee is good for you. I don't think coffee is any form of effective energy. It is truly just an addiction that has been widely accepted. But if you drink coffee, this might be the point to do it. So, I'm not just dissing on people with coffee. I have an actual reason for clowning on y'all. But you drink your coffee, whatever you do, whatever you have to do to get ready for work, and then immediately when you're done, right? As soon as you're done with your morning routine or whatever, go and actually do the work, right? Go lock in, get into deep work, get into focused work. So whatever the hardest task you have for the day is, immediately just lock into that and do it to completion, right? And that is the reason for the morning routine, right? That is the reason to utilize it in the first place, is to lock in so that you can go ahead and get deep into your work block, right? And get into a flow state immediately so that you can easily work to completion with your next task. And so the next thing is, how do you optimize it for flow state, right? The way that I would do it is ease yourself into a little bit more of a challenging task each time. So for me, the most challenging or the least challenging task is my making my bed, right? And doing some push-ups. The second least challenging task is walking to the bathroom so I can brush my teeth and do the rest of the stuff I have to. Third most challenging is meditating. I am just sitting there, but now I have to get my attention, and I have to actually keep my attention focused and centered. And I typically will try to alter my state because I wake up in a little bit lower energy state. So I try to alter my state slightly, get myself in the right headspace, get myself in the right energetic state, emotional state. And then I do what is the second most challenging, which is my journal, because I write a whole page on my journal. That takes the most effort out of all the things prior. And then the hardest thing I do is my cold shower, and that's last, right? So I'm slowly easing myself into slightly more and more difficult activities. And then by the end of it, the hardest one, which is my cold shower, I now feel as though I'm ready to tackle the day, right? Because the point is, they're not just difficult activities. They're activities that intentionally get you into this flow state, and then you stack them in such a way that they continuously get a little bit more difficult, so that by the end of your last habit, the last thing that you do for your morning routine, you're ready to tackle any challenge, right? And then you can apply that to doing your work or your training or whatever that is, right? So immediately after the last habit, you go into a flow state and you get to work on your deep work, or you get to your training, whatever it may be. The last thing is just a tool for you guys to make it easy. I use a daily organizer. So I have a notebook or a little journal that I have on one side my goals, my morning routine, and my daily tasks that I have to do. So the morning routine and the daily tasks, you write next to a little checkbox, and you can check it off as you go each day. Right? Write your day at the top, write the goals, write your morning routine, and then each of the tasks you have for each day. And then on the page next to that, so it's open. I have one side with all of my things, and then on the page next to that, that's where I do my journal entry in the morning. And so this is something I did steal from another YouTuber, so, please don't kill me, but it's very valid because it's extremely helpful in keeping your tasks organized and focused, and also making it, it's in one place. So it's very easy, and, it gives you the opportunity to be able to journal. You fill the page with your journal entry, complete your morning routine, and then from the morning routine, you just work through the tasks for that day. I call it the Daily Organizer because I don't want to steal the original name of it, but I don't have a better one yet. So the Daily Organizer, because it just organizes each day into all the tasks you need to be doing in order to complete or move towards your goals. And this makes it easy to stay consistent because A, you get to see each of the previous days. B, you have the list of your morning routine, the habits for your morning routine, and you can check them off as you go. and then you're easily able to move things around and do comparisons, see what works and what doesn't, and find your most optimal and ideal routine. So that is a very small tool that will make a big difference. Just go buy a journal. There's one on Amazon that I like, has a little tree on it, but they're just small, thin journals, basic journals. Doesn't have to be big, just like a normal size journal, and you have one side for your daily stuff and one side for a journal entry, and that's it. So that is all I have for you guys today. If you are interested in the Academy of Self-Mastery and you want to learn more about it, go ahead and send me a DM on Instagram. And if you guys want to work with me one-on-one and you want help transforming your lives through self-improvement, go ahead and send me a DM about my one-on-one coaching. But aside from that, that's all I really have for you guys, and I'm out of here. Peace.